Grassy Posse Packer Nation, welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grassi, and today we are here for the AFC South, taking a look at what this division did over the offseason and looking ahead into the future to see what the season has in store for them. But before we get to that, let's take care of some business, in which we have the very kind DoubleDriveSports.com to sponsor said show. DoubleDriveSports.com is basically like having a pool with your friends, except it's on the internet, in which you create a league, you pick the teams you think will win, and at the end of the year, the person who's selected the most, or gotten the most correct teams wins a bunch of money, depending on how much you want to throw down. So get on that. They're good to us, so we're going to be right back to them. It's fun. There's live scoring. You can chat with your friends right on it. It's actually a really intuitive system, and it's super duper easy. All you need is an email address. So check them out there at DoubleDriveSports.com. They're good friends of the show. Now, checking out the AFC South, a very interesting division in which I believe, quite honestly, that the team that was in the basement, meaning the Texans last year, are going to potentially be on top in the AFC South this season. So to take a look at the 2017 records, the Jaguars, of course, going all the way to the AFC Championship game. The Jaguars were 10-6 on the year, followed by the Titans, who were 9-7, and then the Colts and Texans at 4-12. Now, this division is very interesting. There's a lot of variety here. This is another division where I wouldn't be surprised if you would see two teams going to the playoffs. But let's take a gander at what each team did. So starting with the Jaguars. The Jaguars, obviously, Blake Bortles had the best season of his career. That defense, obviously, was incredible. Leonard Fournette started off doing really, really well, then kind of hit a wall. But that defense really was able to carry them through regardless of how anemic their offense was. And their offense, to be honest, I don't think is going to get any better this year for a couple reasons. One, they lost big receivers like Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, so they're both gone. Leonard Fournette should be doing better, but the guy who I think is really going to take a fall this year and do a lot worse is Blake Bortles. Last year, he was really one of the few, if not the only quarterback that was like straight healthy for all 16 games last year. I think that his performance is going to take a dive a little bit this year. I like Blake Bortles. I liked him a few years ago as he helped me win a fantasy league, but other than that, I really don't think he's too incredible. So regardless of how good that defense is, I just don't see Blake Bortles winning them games. Fournette should do better as they short up that offensive line a little bit more, but I think the Jaguars, it's gonna be tough for them. I see them probably finishing at number 2, but we'll see. They short up that defense because that defense has been building for quite some time through the draft, and it's kind of all come together for them. And so if they can get it on the offensive side of the ball, watch out. They're gonna be a really good team. The Tennessee Titans. So they helped out their defense a bit. They drafted linebacker Rashawn Evans, defensive end Harold Landry in the draft. They also got Malcolm Butler in a huge trade as well. So that defense is starting to get fixed, which was really like their weak point last year. Mariota didn't have an amazing year last year. They went 9-7. It was probably statistically the worst season of his career. Everything I remember him from is like throwing and catching his own pass in the playoff game. But I think the defense is doing a little bit better. It's now the Derrick Henry show, and they'll have a little bit of Dion Lewis from the Patriots as well to help them out. Last year, they ran the ball a lot with DeMarco Murray, but that doesn't really seem like it's going to be in the picture this year. And so I think with a good running game, because Derrick Henry has definitely shown those flashes that he can be the guy, I think that they'll have a good running game. It all depends on Mariota, who's like still waiting to kind of hit his peak. So we'll see how he does, but the defense should be a little bit better. So I definitely see the Titans being contenders here. The biggest question mark, I think, of this entire division is the Indianapolis Colts, and that revolves completely and totally around one Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, who was at some points last year, because he was still drafted in all my leagues, like he was like, oh yeah, he'll be ready for like the beginning of the season, and that just got pushed back and back and back and back and back and back and back, and then he never played. But it seems like he's doing well, and he's projected to start this season, so it's just a matter of what kind of Andrew Luck are we going to get. Are we going to get former Andrew Luck, who was, on his way to having a great career, or how bad was that injury? A lot of mystery surrounding the guy, and I feel like that entire team really hinges on him because that defense is a abysmal. It's really, really bad. So I just don't, I'm kind of like disregarding their defense right now. And on the offensive side of the ball, nothing's really striking me either. I mean, you had Frank Gore, who's no longer there, but their running backs, I actually had to look these up because I had no idea who these people were. Nyheim Hines had him, and then you had Marlon Mack. So I have no idea who these guys are. I really don't know about their running game. In the passing game, they got the wide receiver Ryan Grant, not the former Packers running back, and they got T.Y. Hilton, of course. But it's going to come down to luck, and I mean that both as a player and also in regards to good luck, because they're going to need it this season. I just don't see the Colts doing well. I mean, they got Quentin Nelson in the draft to protect Andrew Luck, which is definitely necessary as the offensive line had been struggling as of late. But like with that, the amount of holes that are in that defense and the uncertainty on the offensive side of the ball, the Indianapolis Colts are definitely in a stage of rebuilding. So that comes to arguably, I would say this is probably the team that I'm most excited for in the AFC as a whole, and that is the Houston Texans. Now, there's a lot of reasons to get excited. So you could talk about their offseason. They got guys like the Honey Badger, right? So that's incredibly exciting for them. That defense, J.J. Watt, who I feel like has not had a full healthy season in, I can't even remember the last time that he played 16 games, if ever. So he's coming back, and he's going to be fully healed because I know he was dealing with injuries last year and the year prior. You had DeAndre Hopkins, who's one of the best wide receivers. Will Fuller came out and had his coming out party last year and was doing really well. And, of course, the main man, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, who was electrifying in the NFL when he was playing, but unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury. And then they also have Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue. Now, Lamar Miller was the guy, but he's kind of lost favor in Houston a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see who gets more of the carries there, if it's going to be something like a committee. They do need to fix that offensive line, but regardless, I think you have some really exciting players on this team. You have the defense that could definitely do some damage here, and then that offense is really explosive. And I would say that out of these teams, the Texans have the potential to have the most explosive offense within this division. So with that being said, let's get to some ranking action. Number one, I think it's the Texans. I know a lot of people are high on the Texans. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl this year, but I think that this team has the potential to be really, really good and to at least win the division, and from there, we'll see what happens. Number two, I see the Jaguars just because of their defense alone finishing second. Their defense is going to carry them to a bunch of different, a bunch of wins, I'm going to say. Number three, I see the Titans just because I don't think they're not able to compete with the offense of the Texans and not able to compete with the defense of the Jaguars. And finally, the Indianapolis Colts. Now, it could be that Andrew Luck comes out firing, but I just don't think he has enough weapons. I think that he's such a question mark. I can't put them any higher than 4. But that's what my opinion is. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. So it's Texans, Jaguars, Titans, and Colts. And, I wouldn't be surprised if either the Texans and the Jaguars wind up making it to the playoffs. But we'll see. This should, I'm going to keep an extra eye. I usually don't care about the AFC, but this is a division I'll keep an eye on, definitely. But let me know what you think down below. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossi Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedies on the Twitter. Check out, and the Facebooks, the Instagrams, all that fun stuff. Check out Packcast, which is obviously on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music. We're on TuneIn. We're on a bunch of different things. You can find us. Trying to get us on Spotify, slowly but surely. Check out Allergic to Fun, which is my debut comedy album, which will be coming out August 24th. We're going to do a live stream from the 23rd into the 24th. I'll reveal some details on that in the coming weeks. So that'll be a lot of fun. You could get that on iTunes, you can get that on Amazon, and also at TomGrossiComedy.com if you want a physical copy, which I will happily sign for you. And then finally, I am running the New York City Marathon in 3 months. If you want to check it out, I'm running it for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinsons Research. So there is a link in the description. You can go if you want to help out. It's a great cause. All proceeds go to them. Woo! All right. Well, that's my time. That's the AFC for you. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.